समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविडं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं गुरुदेव देव. Hari Om. We are continuing the discussion on chapter 7 of Vijnayaranya's Panchadasi text, and we are dealing with now, after gaining the knowledge, one has to abide in the knowledge. That is essentially called Jnana Nishtha. Jnana Nishtha is abidance on the knowledge that I have gained through Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, through Paroksha knowledge, that is indirect knowledge, whereby that Brahma Asti, that Lord is there, Lord is propagating everything, pervading everything, and is the Adhishthanam of everything, and therefore Ishvara, I don't see it, but what I see is nothing but expression of Ishvara in the names and forms. That is comes from the Vedanta Sravana. That's a knowledge called Paroksha Jnanam. Indirectly I know through by listening to the scriptures. Then Mahavakya is that which cannot be pointed out, being pointed out through the words, where for a prepared mind to uplift, you are the totality. So it is contradictory to all my experiences and all my transactions in the world, and that knowledge itself is to be assimilated and to become internalized. It means I have to claim myself that I am the totality. From that vision, everything is nothing but I alone, and everything else is the other things that I see. Differences are only due to superimpose the attributive content, and that's called Nama Rupas, which is Anatma. So that I am not, because I am not difference, all the differences between I am not a chair, I am not a table, and all that, only from the point of superficial, superimpose of the attributive content of the packaging of the things that are on top. So ring is packed, the atoms of gold are packed differently for a ring and compared to different in the bangle. And atoms themselves are packed differently for a ring versus for a gold versus an iron. Okay, electron protons are packed differently, number of electrons, protons, and so on. So that understanding is one. Prarabdha karma will be there even for a jnani. So jnanam does not destroy the prarabdha karma. That's a fundamental postulate understanding of the scriptural statements by the Advaitic masters. So people ask questions from Dvaitina and Visishtadvaitim. According to you, the avidya is the root cause, and avidya is eliminated by aham brahmasmi. Then this whole thing that is jiva itself should not be there anymore, since avidya is not there. So avidya got destroyed. So avidya, janita, all the products are also should get destroyed. So just as the ignorance is, I am projecting the snake there, but once I know it is a robe, there is no more snake there. So snake should disappear. But when you say that I am Brahmasmi, there is no real world, Brahman cannot create anything, need not create anything, and cannot create it because the infinite cannot undergo any mutation. So from that point, for understanding that, therefore there is no world, should not be there. The world should not be there. So therefore there cannot be any jnani. The jnani, once I reach that jnanam, aham brahmasmi, gone, yes, gone. So there is no more body, mind, intellect that should drop out because there is nothing else. Since according to the Vedanta, with the jnanam, what is eliminated is sanchita karma and agami karma. Sanchita karma is the total balance of that account of karma. Why did that get destroyed? That get destroyed by the jnanam. What is the jnanam here? Jnanam is I am never a karta, bhokta. I am never a doer. The kartrutva bhava, because that belongs to the one who has done it, but I am not the doer. So therefore, it doesn't belong to the one who understood that I am not a doer, and I never did it also. That's due to the Prakriti itself did it, and I assume that I am doing it because of lack of knowledge. So who was doing? Somebody has to be doing. So Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So when Krishna says under my guidance the Prakriti is projecting the whole entire universe, so am I responsible? No. I am not responsible for anything. So, but under my presence only it is projecting. So same way Jnanis will see that under my this one the work has been done. So therefore I am not responsible for myself, but the body, mind, intellect may be responsible. So all sanchita karma will go away. For jnanina sarva karma says that all karmas get destroyed. All karma here includes all sanchita karma. Agami karma, that is the karma action, will not be there anymore, because now I realize that I am akarta and abhokta. So I will be working at the same time not working. That means, that's what jnana means. That means there is no more kartrutva bhavam is not there. I am a doer notion will not be there. I understood the prakriti eva cha karmani sarvani sarva karmani. Prakriti eva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvani. All the actions are being done by the prakriti only. And that is the knowledge. So, karmani, even the body, mind and intellect are functioning, but I am not functioning. In my presence, body, mind, intellect is functioning. I am a sakshi, and in my presence only everything acts. So that understanding even is there, so there is no agami karma. So why then in that case prarabdha karma should also be not there. So for that Shastra Pramanam alone is there. The prarabdha karma will make, because it's like an arrow shot, and that you cannot be stopped until it gets stopped by itself. And that is what the body, mind, intellect is born because of the prarabdha karma. Until that get exhausted, it will remain. And that prarabdha karma will make the Jivan Mukta, a realized soul, also has to go through whatever the suffering or enjoyments, and that's what is being discussed here now. Now we are doing now 144, verse 144 in the 7th chapter. Bhunjana va api buddhaha, bhunjana va api buddhaha, Shraddhavanta kutumbinaha, Shraddhavanta kutumbinaha, Najya api karma na chinnamiti, Najya api karma na chinnamiti, Klishyanti santatam, iti klishyanti santatam, Najya api karma na chinnam, iti klishyanti santatam. Together, Bhunjana vapi buddhaha, Shraddhavantah kutumbinaha, Najya bikarmana chinnam, iti klishyanti samtatam. So here, this sloka is very important in the sense that Vidyaranya talks about the kutumbinaha. Kutumbinaha means a samsari. Kutumbina means one householder, that means gruhastha. So a gruhastha jnani, or even gruhastha jnani also we can use this sloka. So for a gruhastha jnani also we can use it. So a gruhastha can realize. In olden days, grahasthas are only realizing there was no sannyasi. But when you say you have to take up sannyasa, that's only later because of the Yajnavalkya took it, therefore everybody has to take it. That's the interpretation. But if the truth is everywhere all the time, sannyasa will help. So when somebody went to ask Ramana Maharshi, that is sannyasa required for self-realization? He said, it's not required, but it is useful. Useful means that it provides an environment conducive for contemplation. Mind does not get unnecessarily agitated with the transactional world, whereas a grihastha has to take care of gruham. So he has to take care of gruham means the wife and husband and the family and all those things. The responsibilities are there, so that is not there. So therefore, parivrajaka, you move one place to one place. You don't have to depend on anybody. And if there is food available, eat. Otherwise, not. You have to starve. That's the body's problem. So that's what you are to think. So here, the sloka is with reference to Kudumbinaha, the householder. Shraddhavantaha, he is with a full faith. Buddha, if he is a wise person with a full faith, that means he has realized. Bunjanam, while experiencing the world, while experiencing the world of objects, or va, without enjoying any world objects. If he has things, he will enjoy. If he doesn't have things, he doesn't enjoy. If he has the things, he doesn't say, I'm a jnani, therefore I'm not going to enjoy. That also is another type of enjoyment only. So therefore, he might as well enjoy because the body requires. So Bunjanam, while experiencing the worldly objects or without experiencing any objects, both possibilities, Adyapi, even now, even then, even while being a jnani. So Naha Chinnam, the prarabdha karma is not getting destroyed. Iti Satatam. So this has to be recognized essentially, and this is to be known. So even when, whether it's a jnani or ajnani, whether things come or things go, he has to undergo through that process. Whether he deliberately may not enjoy or he deliberately enjoys also, but both become a prarabdha karma only. So even a grihastha has to go through whatever the prarabdha karma that one has to. So whether it's a wise or unwise, one has to have that frame of mentality. For the one who is a sadhak, he has to use this knowledge to make sure that he doesn't depend on it. So take mityahara viharam. So appropriate whatever is required. Don't run away from the field of experiences. It's not the experiences the problem. Your dependence on the experiences for your happiness is the problem. So if you can experience without getting dependent, then it's okay. That comes in a moderation, controlling the mind just enough. Says that's what Ganesha stands for. Ganesha is a very big head, right? Elephant head is a very big head symbolizing the highly intelligence. That's why we request Ganesha to remove the obstacles. Why are we requesting Ganesha to remove obstacles? So mythology, Puranically, as I say, he is the Ganesha. So he is the Ganas. He is the Ishvara of the Ganas. But for us, Ganesha means intelligence. Use intelligence, or, oh Lord, give me intelligence to overcome the obstacles. That's what the prayer is. Prayer is only symbolically requesting the Lord to give that intelligence, because he has the intelligence, and that's symbolized by big elephant head. And the trunk is having a double tool where it can pick up a needle in the haystack, as well as the wooden blocks also in the forest. It can even pick up. That's what they use elephants also. So the trunk can have a capacity to discriminate the gross and the subtle also, and that is the symbolism of the elephant and the trunk that he has. And the big ears is ready to listen all the time, and small mouth and big, so talk less and listen more. That's the whole Vedanta is Shravanam, Srotavyaha. So listening to the teaching itself is a very symbolic. But the mouse is small and all sweets are in front of it. So mouse is like a mind. Symbolism of mouse is nothing but a mind. A big intellect and a small mind. Mind is the desiring mind. That means emotional mind. But that is, mouse cannot dare touch any sweets there until Ganesha permits. That is what controlling means. So one can let the mind enjoy under the control of the intellect. So that's what is essentially is the Vijnanam helps you to make intelligent choice and also be discriminative enough to enjoy what is required with Yukta Aharam. That's what Krishna's statement is. But now we are talking about the real truth. Is really prarabdha karma makes a jnani to suffer? Because we hear the stories of the suffering of realized masters, after gaining the knowledge, when he is reveling in himself by himself, why should he suffer? Why should the prarabdha karma should make him? So here the truth is he really doesn't suffer. That's what he's saying. That's 145. Nayam kleshotra samsara, Nayam kleshostra samsara, Tapah kimtu viraktata, Tapaha kimtu viraktata, Bhranti jnana nidanohi, Bhranti jnana nidanohi, Tapah samsarikam srutaha, Tapaha samsarika srutaha. Together. Nayam kleshotra samsara, Tapah kimtu viraktata, Bhranti jnana nidanohi, Tapah samsarika srutaha. So I am klesha, this samsara, this sorrow of a wise man, you're talking about the wise person, a jnani, even though he appears to go through the life and all the stripes and struggles and all the suffering or enjoyment in the life. So I am klesha. Klesha includes both the positive as well as the negative, the happiness, pleasures, as well as the pains that come because of the body, mind, intellect is there. So I am kleshaha, na samsara tapaha. His personal suffering is not there. He doesn't really suffer, even though for others he is suffering. So why? Because he has understood that this is suffering goes on at the body, mind, intellect level. That's what is part of the prakriti. So Krishna says that which prakriti alone goes through all the process. So prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasaha. Ya pasyati tadatmanam kartaram sapasyati. So Prakriti itself is undergoing all the modifications and the actions and the results of the actions and the suffering and the consequence of the actions and all that. And one who knows that this Prakriti alone is doing under his adhyaksha, under his guidance, and therefore he himself is not involved even though Prakriti. So Prakriti eva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasaha yak pasyati tadatmanam kartam. One who realizes that he is not a doer in spite of doing. So the body mind will be doing, but he is not doing. That knowledge is at the intellectual level, cognitive level, and therefore he doesn't really suffer even though he appears to suffer. That's what is this statement here. So he will have the body problems. Body problems will be still be there, whether he is a jnani or ajnani. But jnani doesn't suffer because he recognizes that the problems belong to the body and not to him. He will take care of the body that is required for the body to be in a healthy condition, whereas the jnani, attachment to the body makes him more suffering, emotionally suffering also. So atra virakta, the one who has a virakti means dispassion for the world as well as for his body, mind, intellect. Samsarika tapaha bhranti jnana nidanaha. So samsarika tapaha means the heat coming from the samsara, that means the sufferings in the that things continuously changing. So as a result of Bhranti jnana nidanaha, as a result of Bhranti jnanam, that result of the delusion, that which is being reduced now or eliminated by the jnanam. So the one who does not have any more illusion that the world is real and the body, mind, intellect are real, they are only transactionally real but not absolutely real. One who has that knowledge, then he goes through the transactions but he does not really go through the transactions. So sorrow of the wise man is not due to suffering due to the worldly sufferings, but it's only he has a dispassion towards not only the world but to his own body, mind, intellect. Therefore he considers that is only a delusion rather than the reality. So that is the frame of mind of a jnani. So this is also a litmus test for a jnanam also. If one is really suffering mentally, Not that other people seeing that you are suffering, but internally, if you feel suffering, that means your knowledge has been not synced in or internalized. That means you still have raga dveshas, and that can only be eliminated by constant contemplation on the truth. Now, the discrimination intellect is being pointed out in the next sloka towards the suffering. Vivekena pariklishyam, vivekena pariklishyam, na alpa bhogena trupyati, na alpa bhogena trupyati, anyadhananta bhogepi, anyadhananta bhogepi, naiva trupyati karshachit, naiva trupyati karshachit. Together, vivekena pariklisyan na alpa bhogena trupyati, anyadhananta bhogepi, naiva trupyati karshachit. So vivekena, by using the discriminative intellect, pariklisyan, seeing the suffering of everything, including the body, mind, intellect. Alpa bhogena, with little enjoyments, trupyati. The wise ones get satisfied with the small amounts or with little satisfaction. He doesn't go after for wanting mind or a desiring mind for getting more and more. That greediness will not be there. He will be happy with whatever he has or whatever he gets due to prarabdha karma. For whatever in the life, because of whatever he is born or what and so on, whatever comes he gets satisfied, but he does not have the greediness that I want more, I want more, I want more, because that gives you a problem in the mind. So he is trupyati, he is satisfied with what he has at either the comfort level or at the body level or at the mind level or at the intellect level. Anyatha, for ignorant person, now we are talking about contrast between a wise person and an ignorant person. Ananda bhogepi, even though he is having millions and billions, then he still wants some more. Why? The greediness will not stop, because he will be suffering because he sees everybody else is having more. Therefore, he wants more and more and more, and he struggles more and trying to get more. He already have enough there to enjoy for generations, but he will be going after trying to get more billions. Why? Because of the lack of understanding. So he gets enjoyment, he depends on that. So for him, anyadha, ananta bhoge api, even though it is ananta, means endless is there, bhogyam, the enjoyments are available at home. So api karshachit na trupyati. So he never gets satisfied with what he has. So you see this in life, where people have so much money, but still they are going after more money and trying to gain more billions, but even though they have enough for generations. That's what is essentially pointing out. And that's how difference between a jnani and ajnani towards the life itself. And then now he is giving a sloka where you will never get satisfied by fulfilling desires. And that's what is sloka 47. It's like a pouring fuel into the fire. The more you enjoy, the more dependence of yourself on the enjoyments, and that makes you more and more, and that life goes on like satisfying the desire is pouring ghee into the fire, or fuel into the fire. This actually comes from the Gita, but here he is putting in his own way. Najatu kamaha kamanam, najatu kamaha kamanam, upabhogena samyati, havisha krishnavat meva, bhuya evadhi together. Najatu kamaha kamanam, upabhogena samyati, havisha krishnavat meva, bhuya evabhivardhate. So kamaha kamanam upabhogena na jatu samyati. So kamaha for the desirer, for kamanam for the desired objects, upabhogena by enjoying things, Na jatu samyati. He will never get fulfilled. By enjoying objects, you will never be happy. You may be temporarily contented, but again there is a wanting mind, and the wanting mind to repeat that experience again and again and again. Therefore you become dependent, called bandhakatvam. You become slave to it, because without that you cannot live also, if it becomes a habit. So one can be habitually eating also. Some people habitually eat and when they are depressed, they eat more and more because they don't know what else to do. So therefore your dependence on something other than yourself becomes more and more, and you will never get satisfied by fulfilling a desire. So, but body, mind, intellect requires certain things, and habits, because of the past habits, it requires certain preferences compared to other things. Even though anything may satisfy the hunger, but his body mind is tuned to or has used to a particular type of food. Therefore you provide that particular food so that the body can survive. So that's what. But if you depend on that, if it is not available, then you don't suffer. You take whatever that's available also. So havisha krishnavat meva bhuye evabhivardate. So havisha, by fuel, krishnavat karma, like a fire, bhuya eva, again it becomes vigorously abhivardate, like a fan to grow more and more. So this is what the Upanishad talks about, Shreyas versus Preyas. So there are two types of paths. One is the Shreyopatha and Preyopatha. So one is indulging in the sense objects and trying to get happiness only. The goal is to get happiness. So one is indulging sense objects and trying to get happiness. Other one is withdrawing from sense objects and gaining happiness. Both won't hand happiness only. One can get happiness by withdrawing also. How? That's what Upanishad talks about. Says sotriyasya kamaya tasya. So in the scale of ananda, so a human ananda is one unit, a human ananda, one who has conquered the whole universe and whole world and enjoying the whole world. His happiness is one unit, whereas Gandharva Ananda is 100 times more, and Devas Ananda is 100 times more than that, so on and so forth, all the way up to Prajapati, and the Prajapati's Ananda is 10 to the power of 26 times the Ananda of a human being who has the whole universe under his control. But that Ananda is also at each scale. The Taittiriya Upanishad says every time, says sotriyasya akamaya tasya. So same happiness can also be gained by one who is sotriya. Sotriya means one who has knowledge of the Vedanta, and akamaya, the one who does not have the desire up to that level, he also gets the same happiness. That means he is contented with what he has, therefore he is happy. What is required is contentment of the mind, and that is what is being pointed out by fulfilling the desire. So it's called a preyopataha and called shreyopataha. Preyopataha means indulging in the sense objects and getting happiness, but in the process you become bound, and that's how we have been spending life after life. The very fact that you are born again is the fact that you have been doing that in the past lives also, and you will continue to do this if that's all you are going after. But only when you realize that this is not a correct way, because you are suffering as a consequence of it. Because every time you enjoy, there consequence of enjoyment is there, and also it comes to a stage where the objects to enjoy also not there, and higher competition, because everybody wants the same thing, and you have to stamp all over in order to get it, and therefore there is a struggle in getting, struggle in preserving, and struggle in if you lose it. All the problems are there therefore it's like a pouring ghee. So pouring ghee, you want to put out the fire, instead of putting out, you're making the fire more and more. And that's why the bottom line is you will be more and more unsatisfied, restless mind, and therefore suffering mind. I want this, I want this, I want this. So 7 days is not enough, 24 hours is not enough to run around to get more and more and more. That's what he calls pouring a fuel to put out the fire. It actually comes from the Gita example also. Krishna also says that satisfying the desire is by pouring the fuel into to put out the fire. So we'll take 148. Parignyayopabhukto hi bhogo bhavati tushtaye vijnaya sevitas choro maitri meti nachoratam. So here you give an example here. Let's chant again. Parignyayopabhukto hi bhogo bhavati tushtaye vijnaya sevitas choro maitri meti nachoratam. Parignyaya. So having discriminated, upabhuktaha bhogaha, the experience of enjoyment, one who knows that this enjoyment is not permanent. If I depend on that, then it's going to be suffering. But as long as the body, mind, intellect is required, therefore, yuktahara viharaha. So, essentially, a limited, controlled mind, let it enjoy just enough so that the mind is satisfied, so that it doesn't long for it anymore. Because you are using intellect, just like the Ganesha and the mouse there. The mouse is a mind that wants to eat the sweets, and sweets are all over the floor in front of it, but it will not dare to touch it unless Ganesha provides it. So therefore, Ganesha standing for the intellectual viveka, parignya, that is intellectual knowledge is there, allows the mind to enjoy only a limited amount under the control of the intellect. So one who is under the control of the intellect, he is called the wise person. Yoga, any yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga is to make the mind under the control of the intellect. So therefore, what I think, what I feel, and what I talk, and what I do are in line. There is no crookedness anywhere, which Krishna calls it arjavam. Arjavam means straightforward. He is a straightforward person. I may not agree with him, but I respect him for what he is, because we know what he thinks, and we know what he feels, and we know what he talks, and we know what he does, because he doesn't deviate from that. So even though I may not agree with him, but I respect him because he is very straightforward. And that's what is Arjuna. Arjuna means he is straightforward. So therefore, this is amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti, arjavam. Krishna calls it. Arjavam is required for jnanam. Straightforward, because intellect and the mind have to be aligned. That's what is the yoga does it. Yoga makes it a person aligned properly. Integrated personality. The integrated personality is what he thinks, what he says, what he feels are in line. Whereas the other person, disintegrated, is what he thinks is different from what he feels. So, and what he feels is different from what he says. And they are not in line. He thinks something, but he says something else to satisfy somebody else, or lies also, is because what he's saying is different from what he thinks. So that's what is called crookedness. Crooked means they are not in line. And arjavatvam, that is straightforwardness, is required for adhyatmika study. So he says, Parignyayova bhukto hi bhogo tavati tushtaye. So whatever these desires are there because of the previous prarabdha, because even jnani has the desires at that because of the previous prarabdha is there, and therefore, but he controls it and allows it only up to point. Vijnaya sevitas choro maitri meti nachoratam. It's like the mind wants to steal away the intellect and run around, but just like the mouse is under control, a chora, one who is a normal thief, you give him a shelter, he says, I won't steal anymore. So therefore you give him a shelter and protect him now, and you don't look him up him as though he's a thief, because he wants to go under your control and follow it through. This is actually in the Saint Francis of Assisi, the story of when a notorious thief comes to rob the Saint Francis, and ultimately he becomes the greatest disciple of him. There are so many stories also in in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Purana, Valmiki also, same story, where Valmiki wants to rob the Saptarishis, and Saptarishis, he says, okay, you can rob us, but find out that because you will get sin and you are committing this sin. He says, I have to protect my family. He says, go and ask your wife if she is going to take half of your sin. Then he went and ran to the wife. He says, are you going to take, I am killing so many people in order to maintain the family. Are you going to take care of this sin? He says, no, that's your problem, not my problem. Who asked you to go and kill anybody? So wife rejects the thought that she has to share his sin. So he comes back with the repenting, says, my wife says no, and I am committing so much of this one just to protect my wife and all that. So please teach me something else so that I can get out of this. That's how Valmiki was given the Rama mantra for him to go out, and that's what the Mahatmas does it. Essentially, the satsangatvam, the association with the satsang is what is required in order to nissangam, detach from our attachments in the past. So it becomes under control, just as the so-called thief has become a Maitri, he is a friend now, because he is under control and the stealing things have been under control, therefore he behaves properly. The example here, knowing very well he is a thief, once he has taken him under control and protect him and make sure that he doesn't go out and do anything, then it becomes a friend only, not anymore a thief now. That becomes a mind, becomes a friend. This is called mind and intellect, both are required. Emotions and the intellect, discriminative intellect, are required to take the flight. Because if the emotions are driving you somewhere else, the attachment somewhere else, and the intellect wants it, then nothing will happen. Intellect, emotionally, and also intellectually, as to both as a two wings of the bird. That's what the Swami Chinmayananda used to call it, as the two wings of the bird to take the flight towards the higher. We'll do 149 now. Manaso nigruhitasya lila bhogolpakopiyaha lila bhogolpakopiyaha tameva labda vistaram klishtatvad bahumanyate. Together, manaso nigruhitasya lila bhogolpakopiyaha tameva labda vistaram klishtatvad bahumanyate. So nigruhitasya, so well controlled mind, nigraham, the manasaha, the mind which is nigrah, the one whose mind is completely controlled. Alpakaha api, even when a little bit whatever is offered. Alabdaha, even it doesn't fit properly what he wants. Vistaram, he expands. Tameva, to that also. Klishtatvam, being a source of sorrow. Bahumanyati, think strongly. Well disciplined, gets satisfied even with a very little bit, and cannot that feel a source of serious sorrow at all by having a little bit. So salpam apyasya dharmasya, that is in the Gita, but he says, Krishna says he is the whole creator, and he is the one who created everything, and everything is nothing but his own. But at the same time, he asks, Patram, Pushpam, Palam, Toyam, Yomi, Bhaktya, Prayaschasi. So you offer me something what, even anything, not that I want something from you, but I want you to offer, because you need a mind of giving mind has to be there, and therefore, even though it is mine, you have a notion that it is yours, therefore offering it makes you that you are offering something that you think it belongs to you. So Solpam Apyasya, even Patram Pushpam Param Toyam Yomi Bhaktya Prayachasi Tadam Tatha Apahyutam Ashtami Priyatatmanaha. Even if you offer a very little, even a water, Patram is even a leaf, Patram, Pushpam, a flower, or Palam, or Toyam, a small fruit, or water, even if you don't have anything, if you offer it to me with bhakti, then I'll take it with happiness, because even though I have everything, so I'm happy with even very small. In the same way, a jnani gets satisfied with whatever he has or whatever the prarabdha gives, whether it's a suffering or pleasure, he takes it as part of the prarabdha and goes through the prarabdha. That's called mano nigraham, controlling the mind. Even though he gets perturbed locally for agitations at the momentarily, this one comes back to him, the nigraham is there. So ups and downs, there is a frequency of perturbation is there, and the frequency of perturbation goes down as he abides in the knowledge. The intensity of perturbation also goes down as he abides in the knowledge, and the recovery time from perturbation also goes down. In terms of recovery time, that means he recovers quickly, and that's called the FIR reduction happens slowly as he abides in the knowledge. So you know, if you are a jnani, and even if you are getting disturbed and the mind has to come quickly to equilibrium, and the amount of time that is taking and the intensity of disturbance and the recovery time will be going down as you abide in the knowledge. How do you abide in the knowledge? By constantly contemplating on the reality by nididhyasanam. And we will do the next slokas in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.